on something that you have been convicted by, but not delivered from, is the easiest, fastest, quickest, slipperiest slope to self-righteousness and hypocrisy. I was thinking about something the other day because I was convicted by it, and I was like, oh Lord, like this should be shared. But not necessarily, because conviction is the beginning of your sanctification process in that specific thing. So you're convicted by it, and then you start to be sanctified. It starts to be worked out of you. But if you're just speaking at the beginning of that sanctification process, hey, I'm convicted by something, but I'm going to tell you guys, even though the Lord is still working that out of me, it could actually create a space for pride and arrogance and self-righteousness. So we don't want to be in a place where we're just hearing something from the Lord and then immediately want to teach it to other people, especially when there's no evidence, no fruit of deliverance in our lives. And it's crazy because I feel like we just saw this manifested in the last few days with John Gray. John Gray was at some women's conference about wives, and he's talking about his wife on the stage. And we know, or if you don't know, John Gray has been in the news for at least 2 different cases of infidelity. I don't know the ins and out of those infidelity cases or what he did or didn't do, but we've all seen the clip circulating where John Gray says something very raunchy about his wife, talking about what he does with her in his bedroom, and then making a face about what he does with her in his bedroom. And what's crazy is that same clip is also him talking about how he was upset that other pastors were not exposed for their adultery, for their infidelity, for them having other families, yet he was, but that God chastised him because he's God's child and maybe those other people aren't. That may have been true. That second half of what I just said, those things may all be true as far as why God chose him to be exposed for his infidelity and other people weren't. But he's clearly not delivered from what caused that infidelity to begin with. And when I say that, I'm saying that because what he did and what he said about his wife, it was very evidently a spirit of lust on stage. You might even say manifesting on stage when he's talking about these intimate details between him and his wife. So he's upset and he's convicted by lust, by what he did, by what other people were doing. And so he wants to teach against it, but he hasn't necessarily gotten to a full point of sanctification or wholeness in this specific area. So we're actually seeing that self-righteousness, pride, arrogance, and even lust rise back up in him because he hasn't necessarily been delivered from it. And so, especially as communicators, as preachers, as pastors, as leaders in the church, we need to be very careful about the things that we're choosing to teach on, especially if there's something that we just learned about, we're just delivered from, just got clarity about ourselves.